Hello everybody once again, this is AikawaKazu and welcome back to another Knowing Your Skills episode. This episode 8 we'll talk about more Assassin, Chaser and Ripper skills. For Assassins we have Dirty Trick and Piercing Star. For Chasers we have Shift Blow EX, Flame Locust EX, Blade Runner EX, Izuna Drop EX, Dedicate Shadow, Dedicate Crow, Mortal Blow and Fade. Last but not the least, for Rippers, we'll talk about Arsonist and Artful Chaser. We will start off with Dirty Trick first. The first thing you need to know about Dirty Trick is that its first hit can flinch or stagger a target. The range for the flinch or stagger hit is also pretty decent. You can also set up Dirty Trick for relifting knockdown targets to set up for other skills like Blade Runner. It is also interesting to know that you can use Dirty Trick for wall bounce with its first hit. As always, there will be examples to show you what we mean. You can also use Dirty Trick in combination for setting up some neat combos, one of which is using the flinching effect of Dirty Trick's first hit after swipe, and many other possibilities as well. Now that you have seen a way to set up Piercing Star with Dirty Trick, let's talk more about Piercing Star. Piercing Star is an assassin skill that has the cooldown time charging effect, also known as CTC. With level 11, you can get your CTC counter to 3, allowing you to cast it 3 times in a row. Piercing Star has enough as a break for a flinch or stagger, making it one of the most useful bread and butter initiation skills for the assassin class. With 3 times CTC, you can use the first Piercing Star to force or bait a tumble, second for the flinch, and third for a knockdown. Using it in conjunction with Triple H is one of the basic things you need to know as an assassin, so make sure you practice this one well. It also has insane range as well. How insane is it? Well, you know the drill, you can see it for yourself. Having fun with the range of Piercing Star yet? Well, we move on to Blade Runner EX next. Blade Runner EX has an extra explosion after its initial hit. This means that you need to time your air evasion and passive defensive skills such as counter exile correctly to prevent yourself from wasting those skills. Check out these 2 quick footage to learn from wrong examples. Coming up next, we have Flame Locust EX. Flame Locust can be used with the right click after using Tumble. This works with the non-EX version as well, which can be very useful for catching opponents after dodging a skill. Flame Locust also has a pushback effect on its initial hit, which you can use for a wall bounce on knockdown targets. It is also important to know the correct usage of Flame Locust, which is judging the correct distance between you and your target. Casting it correctly, you will be able to get 2 lifts of the target instead of a knockback and just 1 lift. As always, it is better to show you examples of what we mean. With that, let's move on to one of my favorite skills of the Ripper class, Shift Blow EX. This skill gives you the ability to throw 1, 2, 3, 4 and one big smack punch at the end with the EX version. While it is extremely awesome to see all the 5 punches thrown out, one must know that with the EX version you can do a quick cast of the final punch at any moment during the casting animation of Shift Blow. It is even possible to cast the final punch before the first punch is thrown. There's a few more things you need to know about Shift Blow EX, so let's take it step by step first by showing you the variations of how we can use Shift Blow EX. With this knowledge, you can put it to good use. But good use against what? With the control of the final hit of Shift Blow EX, you can use it as a simple counter against skills like Wake Attack. Do you know that the quick cast of the final hit also gives you invincibility frame or iframe? As always, here are some examples to show you what we mean. To fully master Shift Blow EX, you will need to understand Shift Blow's super armor breaking ability. The final punch in its full casting animation has a 600 super armor breaking value. The quick cast of the final punch only has 400 super armor breaking value. The initial punches have an SA breakage of about 180 per hit, where Shift Blow has a total of 5 hit counters before the 6th final punch. How do we know this? We tested Shift Blow EX against Line Drive, Harpoon Slash, Flying Swing with the different variations of Shift Blow EX. To know that Line Drive has 600 super armor, Harpoon Slash has 900 super armor, and Flying Swing has 1200 super armor. Well, you're not quite done with Shift Blow EX yet. Similar to Open 8, Shift Blow EX can be used to change the casting hitbox of monsters in PvE. You can also use Shift Blow EX for wall bounce, and we'll show you both the correct and wrong way to do so. For those that are doubtful that Shift Blow has 5 hits, we also have a damage showcase as well. Let's take a look at all of that. Alright, that's all for Shift Blow EX, and we will now move on to Izuna Drop EX. The first thing you need to know about Izuna Drop is that its rising motion of the casting animation has iframe. The part of the skill where you drop has no iframe at all. After casting Izuna Drop, your character will be in a squatting position, and he will be able to take one hit of any attack without taking any damage. However, it is important to note that you can still be affected by debuffs such as slow and freeze. To put it simply, it is similar to block, where you can only block one attack. To counter the squatting position of Izuna Drop, you can use skills that have multiple hits like Crescent Cleave, should your friend or opponent decide to throw you and stay in his squatting position. Let's take a look again. The next thing you need to know is that Izuna Drop's EX AoE is larger than the non-EX version. When you cast Izuna Drop without pulling a target up, but still finding a target in its landing AoE, you will instead inflict a knockback effect on a target instead of a lift. Izuna Drop EX also has higher bounce height compared to the non-EX version when you land the drop zone on the target. One good way to set up Izuna Drop is to initiate using Excess Chain, as it is a good dodge bait, and Izuna Drop suction effect is a good way to pull back and recatch your opponent after. Izuna Drop can also be used to dodge storm mechanics in PvE, as you can achieve airborne status during the rising motion of the skill. Similar to Switch Gravity, it is important to know when you can use air evasion when caught in Izuna Drop so that you do not waste your passive defensive skills easily. Izuna Drop's fast multiple hits is also prone to eating air evasions. The best time to air evade or use passive defensive skills like Counter Exile will be when you are at the highest height or the peak height of Izuna Drop. That's all for Izuna Drop as we move on to add on to Mortal Blow aside from its iframe usage mentioned in the previous episode. Mortal Blow can have up to 3 CTC, but note that you will waste 2 opportunities for iframes if you cast the second and third Mortal Blow continuously. There's 3 more skills to touch on before we move on to Ripper skills. First and foremost, we have Fade. Fade gives you a buff that increases damage you can do by 35%, but at the same time it increases the damage you take by 35% as well. The increase in damage you do is halved in PvP, but the increase in damage you take is the same for PvP and PvE. After casting Fade, you will become invisible for 5 seconds, which is the buff's duration. This invisibility effect works in PvP as well, but if you are hit by an attack, like a projectile from Ice Spear for example, you will have your silhouette shown and therefore be seen. To use Fade effectively, Fade should always be used with the 3 primary DPS skills for Rippers, which is Fan of H, Izuna Drop EX, and Artful Chaser. The reasoning behind this is because Artful Chaser has a cooldown of 20 seconds, which is the same as Fade. The second skill we will touch on will be Dedicate Shadow. Dedicate Shadow is extremely useful for PvP more than PvE most of the time, as it only works with magical attacks. Dedicate Shadow at level 4 reduces magical damage taken by 35% in PvP and 65% in PvE. It recovers 25% of our base HP when hit by magical attacks, that's for PvE, and for PvP you can recover around 10,000 HP per hit for up to 2 hits. This is limited by the duration of Dedicate Shadow, which is actually 3 seconds. This means that in PvP, you can use it like Holy Shield from Saints and step into skills that has fast multiple hits like Consecration for free 20,000 HP heal. The third and final skill we will touch on before we move on to Ripper skills will be Dedicate Crow. First thing to note will be the erroneous skill description, which says that the skill only lasts for 0.6 seconds. The buff duration of Dedicate Crow in fact lasts for 15 seconds. Dedicate Crow works in reverse when comparing it with the Dark Elves of Aesthetic Dance 2 from the Dancer class. It gives a buff that gives maximum additional damage when the boss is at full HP and this additional damage percentage decreases as the boss HP decreases. To put it simply, it gives 63% additional damage when the boss is at 100% HP, and 0.9% damage increase when the boss is at 31% HP left. At 50% boss HP, it still gives a decent 18% damage increase. For PvE, Dedicate Crow should always be used at the start of the boss fight for maximum effectiveness, and Aesthetic Dance 2 should be used after the initial burst damage is done via Dedicate Crow. Having both Aesthetic Dance 2 from the Dancer class and Dedicate Crow from Chasers increases the potential of burst damage capability of a party. We finally come to Ripper skills, where we will touch on Arsonist and Artful Chaser. Aside from the plate options mentioned, where the cooldown plate will give you 100% uptime for Arsonist, Arsonist also cannot be interrupted once it is successfully cast. This means that Arsonist can almost never be cancelled aside from latency reasons. Last but not the least, we finally come to my second favorite skill of the Ripper class, Artful Chaser. Artful Chaser can be used on knockdown targets and actually has decent range despite looking like a close range melee skill. Artful Chaser has a super armor of 800 and a super armor break value of 900. This means that you can actually cancel Half Moon Slash, but that is only possible if you anticipate the cast and cast your Artful Chaser at the same time as the Half Moon Slash is used. This is also talking about using the action speed plate for Artful Chaser and having no action speed plate on Half Moon Slash. Artful Chaser can also be used and connected in many ways, some of which is useful when recatching opponents after air evasion due to its fast and multiple hits nature. This is all in addition to its decent super armor breaking value, as we will now show you some simple ways you can use Artful Chaser. We have now come to the end of episode 8 of Knowing Your Skills, which is Knowing Your Ripper. Hope that this episode have helped you understand your Ripper better and make you an overall better Ripper player. A big thank you to Senpai NoxNin for helping out again with all his insights about Rippers in this episode, as well as Asius for his inputs as well. Next week, we will be doing KOS on Bringer class, namely Beast Walkers and Light Fury. To support us in making more awesome videos for you guys and girls, make sure you help us out by subscribing to the channel. This will aid in informing you whenever we have a new video uploaded. Nicole, also known as Lisbeth, have also recently started her own fan page as well. For those who didn't know, she had her debut cosplay as Student Nicole from Million Arter last Saturday at the event of the year 2014. Make sure to check out our Facebook fan page on how to stand a chance to win one of 30 fan signs from us in celebration for reaching over 30,000 subscribers on our channel. I'll announce the winner for the TEGaming t-shirt shortly for last week's episode, so stay tuned to your YouTube message inbox at the end of the week. Last but not the least, for the next 3 weekends, we will be having our very own PvP tournament known as Versus, starting with the Malaysia segment, followed by Singapore and Philippines in the next 2 weekends. We'll be live streaming all the matches over Saturday and Sunday on twitch.tv/TEGaming, so make sure to tune in as well. Be sure to share this week's episode with all your Ripper friends to make them a better Ripper today. Thanks for watching as always, God bless, and I'll see you guys and girls in the next episode. Goodbye.